Alright then, seems like the mangaka was not playing around this chapter because they essentially said you are going to know everything. Before I open this review of chapter 55 of Record of Ragnarok, please do me a favor, leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Now, let's get into it. What's up guys, I got Punch here we are to review chapter 55 of Record of Ragnarok, which is known as Taboo. And I'll admit, long before I knew what taboo was, I knew who taboo was all the way back in Smash Bros. Brawl. So when I first read this chapter, I had instant flashbacks to the Great Maze, and I didn't appreciate that mangaka, even though it's not at all your fault. But regardless of that, we open up the chapter seeing Geir and Brunhilde just walking along, but mainly we get Brunhilde's perspective. Right now, she's essentially like pretty hyped up that the gods are like, they're a little bit shaken because Buddha won against Hajun and it's tied back up again, and now it's once again in that like 50-50 either way scenario. Like we are back in the situation we were right at Raiden versus Shiva. Like this was that big turning point fight that could have made the league go either way is being reestablished again rather quickly too, because we back fast. But regardless of that, it's good to see that Brunhilde is a character that doesn't necessarily, I feel like she gets slept on a little bit because she hasn't fought yet, and obviously, you know, this is a fighting manga, so you want to see the characters fight, and characters who don't fight don't get as much like clout or credit or stuff like that. But Brunhilde as a character, like, her multifaceted nature is always interesting to see, and I like how like, is it weird to say real? Like, Brunhilde does feel just flat out like a real character, like with her reactions, her hope, her motivation, her fears and stuff like that. Like all that stuff, I really enjoy. And I also really enjoy when we get to see the more angry side of Brunhilde. Because as we see Geir and Brunhilde talking about, you know, the success of Buddha and how great he is and how amazing he is, they walk back into the room full of the Record of Ragnarok fighters, like all the humans that were chosen, or the whole list of humans, the file list of humans, I suppose. And we see another Brunhilde there, and they're just, you know, messing with the screen right now. And it appears that this Brunhilde is like identical to the real one in every single way, from shoes to appearance to body proportion and stuff like that. Like it's literally just an exact copy. I think the only real difference is that one is shorter than the other, but I think that's just a perspective trick right there. One's further in the room, one's closer to the camera. It's weird describing that. Like, is it the focal point? Like for any of my technical people out there, what do you call the camera point in manga? Is it just the focal point, like where the camera is positioned relative to the characters? Like if this was a live action thing, the camera would be stationed closer to Brunhilde, while the fake Brunhilde would have been deeper in, and thusly it creates that like contrasting effect, whatever that's called. Please tell me. I'm just forgetting right now. I feel like I know what it is. It may just be focal point, but whatever. We do get to see that Geir instantly falls for it, like, oh no, there's another Brunhilde, and this. Now, initially when I really read this, I saw this weird twitching face Brunhilde, but I thought it was the fake one, but no, this is the real Brunhilde. It just shows like the mangaka is amazing. Like I say, Nakaba's good at this, and there are multiple other mangaka that are good at this, but like two that pop to mind immediately are the Record of Ragnarok mangaka and Nakaba Suzuki. They're great at taking characters that have a set design sheet, like a set way that they normally look that may vary slightly, and just instantly altering it and making it hilarious and or just intriguing to look at. Because like Brunhilde's angry face here, like everything changes only in her face. Like the rest, like if you were to just alter the face, that'd be a regular drawing of Brunhilde, but the way the mangaka was able to manipulate it with the angling and the shading and stuff like that, it made it 10 times as hilarious as it would be. But we get to see that this person that is dressed up as Brunhilde isn't actually Brunhilde, it's just Nostradamus. And he's the prophet of the century. Now notably, I don't know much about Nostradamus, like legitimately at all. I have heard the name in passing multiple times, and I guess now I know he's the prophet of the century, and he's from France, Michael Nostradamus. And there's an interesting thing I'm going to talk about in a little bit once we get into a little bit further in here. But this guy, he seems very like, let me see, is he like, he's the only human fighter, or really fighter in general, now that I think about it, that we've seen that's smaller than this dude is Okita. And that's because Okita's literally a child right now. Like, I don't know. This guy seems to be like a full-grown adult, but he just happens to be small. And we get to see that he, being the prophet of the century, is about to drop some bars on us. I mean, he's about to prophesize, and he clears his throat and just declares, the ones to win Ragnarok will be the gods. And I don't know anything about Nostradamus, how accurate he was, if this is supposed to be like a big moment, or if like me and all the other Record of Ragnarok theory crafters out here should be running to the textbooks, running to our scripts, and just all up on the computer, or if you're just being a meme. Like, notably, after Gear buys it, Brunhilde and him both laugh at her. Like, well, no, he laughs at her because he's amazed that Gear fell for it. Meanwhile, Brunhilde didn't even really care about the declaration. But I wonder, like, what's this dude's deal? Like, and why would you declare that? Because you're arrogant, but you're human too, buddy. Like, I hate to say it, if you were to prophesy some mess like that, well, what do you think is gonna happen to you, pal? You think you're just gonna make it out scot-free? No, bro. No, my guy, you're just gonna die too. And now, I'm not gonna lie, just the introduction of Nostradamus has made me think, who's going to be our next human fighter? Because notably, the fighter we got in this chapter sort of came completely out of left field. Like, normally, never mind, because I don't think we got to see Sasaki until post Adam versus Zeus. We didn't get to see Adam until after the first fight, but then again, that was the first fight. Like, I don't know, it just seems strange. Now that I think about it, we didn't get to see Jack the Ripper until Heracles was introduced. So maybe this is just normal. But right now, we have 3 human contestants that we actually know of and have like real designs for, and it's the same thing on the god side. Like, we know what Buggy Boy looks like, and we have Odin, and to be fair, we have way more of the... Actually, no, I think, now that I think about it, we have an equal amount. We have the 3 human fighters right now, which is the man at the end of this chapter. I'm going to get into him. Then we have Nostradamus, and then we have Soji, and then we have Buggy Boy, now Hades, and then finally we end off with Odin. No, actually, now I think about it, we have Buggy Boy, Hades, Odin, Loki, and I think that's it on the deity side. So yeah, we have a lot of like just random fighters. Not necessarily random fighters, but like we have fighters from both sides of the roster available right now. Like, we know who they are, designs and all. So I'm honestly kind of intrigued to see like where we're going to go here overall. Like, what's the dealio? What's the memo here? What's the word? Because there's so many different fights that could happen. It's entirely possible that the next person or the next human a deity fights, or no, the next deity, one of the humans that we already encountered fight, it's just a completely random one that we haven't met yet. It could be entirely possible that another human just pops up and we have these things kept for a very long time. Because we see the thing about Nostradamus that makes Brunhilde put up with him is that while he is the most obnoxious man in all of human history, that's his whole little thing, he's also extremely powerful. And it seems like Nostradamus is he's on the edge, essentially. Like, he could be cut from the roster and plays with somebody else because of his antics. And we see that Nostradamus like starts to complain and like be afraid of his time in Helheim, because like the guards and the monsters were horrible and his body and soul were torn apart. But it seems like Brunhilde just knows all this is just pure straight lies, because she says that if you had truly felt like leaving, you could have come back at any time, even if it took killing the guards. Now, notably, we don't know who the guards of the underworld are. Obviously, they're fodder, because a June without a proper body probably soloed them. But regardless of that, it's what does Brunhilde mean by come back? Like, come back to Valhalla or come back to Earth? Because depending on what she means by that, like, is that all you have to do? I feel like there was some strong, like, Adam could have come back to Earth then, if we're being completely honest. I mean, unless Nostradamus is revealed to be stronger than Adam himself. And that's an interesting thing. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, it seems like if Nostradamus really is this strong, that he literally just stayed down there being tortured just simply because why not? He built like that. I wonder, like, where does this power come from? How strong is he? Why is he this strong? What are his abilities? What is his Volund gonna be? Is he even gonna use one if he's that powerful? Like, I don't know. This guy, he's kind of strange. But apparently, we also get to note that something else is weird. Gear seems to imply that no humans go to the underworld. There's no humans in Helheim, even though you would think Helheim is the equivalent to the thing, and bad humans would go there, but apparently not. It seems like all humans end up in Valhalla, which explains why all 7 billion of us are sort of just chilling there in the tournament arena. But I thought that was just like special circumstance. But no, apparently Nostradamus was down in Helheim with like all the other monsters and deities down there because he broke the gods' taboo and became the only human to get cast into Helheim, which is kind of crazy because, I mean, like, he's the only one. And I know, I mean, it's specifically the gods taboo. Like, I'm thinking of way worse examples of things that people could have done that probably should have gotten them into Helheim. Like, you know who I'm thinking of. But I'm assuming that wouldn't bother the gods since they're indifferent to human lives anyway. So anything that bothers them is what probably annoys them enough to be like, you know what? That's it. You're going with the monsters. But it's interesting. Like, he was strong enough to do that. And he willingly went down there and stayed down there. Like, I'm not sure if he were to try and escape, Hades himself would just walk up and be like, sorry, the little bro ordered that you stay here, so I'm gonna have you sit back down. I'm not sure if that's what would happen, or if he would literally just leave. Like, does he bolo Hades? How strong is this dude? Like, what the heck? But then we get to see that the reason, or the taboo that he broke, was that he destroyed the Bifrost. And notably, the Bifrost is something that varies a lot from interpretation to interpretation. Like, I know in the Rick Riordan series, the Bifrost is literally just like a bridge, a rainbow bridge that can reach to different places that you can literally walk across and then become light and then travel on. In the MCU movies, it's literally just a beam of light that Thor can call to him with Stormbreaker and I was about to say Hafnir or something like that. Heimdall could control in the MCU movies before he perished. And there's also, I'm not actually sure. Now I think about it, I'm so unstudied on my Norse mythology. It's been so long. I don't actually remember what the Bifrost did in the original, but there are a lot of different interpretations of it. But it seems like the Bifrost is not only something that's apparently destroyable, but it's also something that connects the 3 realms. Because it seems like the world of Record of Ragnarok is composed of 3 individual layers, and those layers are Valhalla, Helheim, and Midgard. And I know we're in a sort of like unified religious canon right now, but I feel like where did stuff happen? Like that doesn't leave much room for like monsters to be coming from. Like, why are there monsters in Valhalla? Like, Valhalla was obviously where Thor was living. Why were there monsters? Like, you'd think there'd be more realms than 3. And it says the world is consisted of these 3 layers. Maybe there are sub-realms in these layers or something like that. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because it doesn't make sense for all these beings to be split across only 3 realms. But, hey, we don't know. But then we get to see that there is a portal or a corridor connecting the worlds of Valhalla and Helheim. It seems like Midgard's left out of the equation, interestingly enough. And I wonder if that's because, like, you can probably just leap from Midgard to Asgard. Actually, yeah, you can probably leap from Midgard to Asgard or Asgard to Helheim, but you just can't make the triple way jump to the 3rd layer, and that's why you need the Bifrost. But then we get to see that the sides of the door reflect the nature of the opposing realm. So on Valhalla's side, you see nothing but darkness, but on Helheim's side, you see nothing but light. And the gate that ends up containing these 2 forces that I'm assuming allows you to travel between these realms at free will is the Bifrost. It's not necessarily a rainbow gate or a rainbow bridge. It's not anything fancy. Can't be summoned by a weapon. It's literally just a door that happens to lead to light and darkness, and it gets you to the other realm. And we see that this door was actually constructed to keep the forces of Helheim and Valhalla from clashing. And I'm assuming the person who's meant to guard this door is Cerberus and Hades, because why would Hades attack his own brother? Like, that doesn't, at least to me, that doesn't make much sense for him to do. And he's noted to be the king of all of Helheim, and considering Helheim is now every single religious underworld ever, I'm assuming that he would be the one having jurisdiction over all of it. So I don't know why he would really just go out and be like, you know what, Zeus, I actually want the smoke right now. Come here, let me have it. I don't think that's very reasonable. So there must have been, then again, there is a pre-Hades era. That's when Hajun was, because Hades didn't know that much about Hajun. So maybe this is the pre-Hades era, and Hades was sent down there in order to act as like a ruling figure that would prevent them and keep the Bifrost closed. But regardless of that, is we see that anyone who opened the gate and went down to Helheim wasn't necessarily allowed to come back, whether they were a deity or not. We literally see an angel just going, woo, into the darkness. But there are some beings that are allowed to transcend this gate. And those are the beings who are the chief gods, which includes Hades, Zeus, Shiva, and Odin. Now, Shiva's always been kind of weird to scale, at least in Record of Ragnarok. Like, I know there's the one in the actual religion, but I'm not even going to try to scale that man. But in terms of Record of Ragnarok, like, he compares himself to Zeus a lot. And I've always thought he was literally just wanking himself, because he never had any statements or, like, feats on Zeus level. But hey, if he's amongst these chief deities, he's probably doing pretty good. I'm honestly surprised that Buddha isn't amongst these chief deities. I know he doesn't necessarily have a pantheon. It's sort of just him. But he's still a deity. You'd think since he's like the one and only in his own little sect, he would be able to traverse it too. But I guess he has no reason to. Like, I could definitely see Odin and I don't know. Really, I can see Odin, Hades, and Zeus all traveling back and forth. Zeus would go down to fight stuff. Hades would go on business trips. And Odin would be like studying the secrets of the underworld to gather more knowledge. Shiva, though, I don't know why that man would go down there. If I'm being completely honest with you, why that man would go, no clue. And same thing with Buddha. Buddha really wouldn't have an interest in going to the underworld. He'd be too busy eating. And then we get to see that this door it was just a cover that kept the two realms apart. And we see that Nostradamus didn't actually like manage to like one shot this dimensional connecting realm that only chief gods can enter through and exit through, but he destroyed a lot of it, so much that it took a while for him to be caught. And I'm assuming that's because he was somewhere between the realms of life and death, or not even that, but Helheim and Valhalla. And it's interesting because, like, in the shot we see of Nostradamus in front of like a cracking Bifrost, he's just standing there. Like, it doesn't look like he hit it with anything. It doesn't look like he punched it or anything like that. He's just literally standing there with a crazed look on his face. So I'm wondering, does he have like gravity powers or something? Like, how is he doing this? So there's so many questions this chapter's raising. I'm barely into it, but we get to see that this man, he's kind of like what I wanted Merlin from Seven Deadly Sins to be. He did it just for kicks. Like, you know, why not? I want to see what would happen if I broke it. Bada bing, bada boom. And like, Gear has this freak out of like the most sinister criminal for kicks is here. And yeah, if he did it for just that, he is a little bit messed up. That man is a little bit crazy. But then we get to see that Nostradamus is wondering if the reason why Nostradamus came in the end was to see if he was up next or not. And Brunhilde is like, nope, hold on. Your turn is still way off because you are our Joker, and I'm not. Like, that's an interesting way to put it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, him being the Joker, like, Adam was described as humanity's trump card. It's sort of cheap, free auto win until Zeus happened. So I wonder, like, how strong is Nostradamus? I keep asking that question, but obviously it needs to be asked considering how monstrous this man seems to be. But in that same breath, out of all the humans we've seen so far, notably, he seems to bear the most resemblance to Adam. If you notice, they have the same hair color. The hair is just different shapes, and Nostradamus is actually wearing clothes, and he doesn't look that jacked. But other than that, like, in terms of sheer appearance, size, stature, and likely power, at least, those two seem to mirror each other very, very well. And I'm not sure if that's an intentional design choice to make the trump card and the Joker two like extremely good cards or whatever card game you're playing, or outlandish cards in the case of the Joker. Like, if that's meant to imply that, this man's just constructed a little bit differently than the rest of the human beings, like, it'd be like that when it'd be like that sometimes. I wonder. And I wonder if there's going to be like a direct link to Adam. Like there's going to be a trace back in Nostradamus' bloodline, and he's literally like, then again, everyone traces back to Adam in this world. So I'm not exactly sure. Maybe he just got pure Adam gene. Maybe he has knockoff eyes of the Lord. I have no idea. But it was just a weird thing. Like, he's the trump card. No, Adam was the trump card. He's the Joker. Both are extremely powerful. Both can threaten the gods. I don't know. They both seem unbounded by anything. They just do what they want, except Adam is actually a decent human being. Meanwhile, Nostradamus is just a freak. All that's good. But then we get to see that Brunhilde gets the text for who's going to be fighting for the gods. And she freaks out. And obviously, it's because none other than Big Papa Hades, ruler of... See, they call it the Netherworld here, but they constantly call him King of Helheim. So, what the heck? But then we get to see that Gear and Nostradamus, Nostradamus is interesting. And he calls him God of the dead, meaning, like, ruler over the dead, rather than the god of death. So he's right. And Nostradamus, he's really just excited to see Hades fight. Meanwhile, Gear is like freaking out because it's Hades, like the eldest of the big three, likely one of the most powerful. He may even be stronger than Zeus. We don't really know. And he's still in the prime of his life compared to Zeus, who looks like he's literally far, far out of it. Sure, he's not as jacked as Zeus, but it's entirely possible that this man's still a demon. But we see that Brunhilde actually is pretty calm with this. Like, she apparently prepared for like this sort of counterpicking scenario. Like, she was ready. She had a counterpick preset. She had Harpy's Feather Duster as a trap card laid face down. So when that Pot of Greed came out, she could just flip that bad boy and bada bing, bada boom. Or Pot of Avarice. Pot of Greed is banned. And see, she calls him the ruler. Why did that text say ruler of the Netherworld? You know, Netherworld is probably just another word for Helheim. Let it be. And we get to see that Brunhilde decides to go for a king, the ruler where it all began. Now, ironically enough, the thing to note is that I'm not sure who the guy in the bottom left is, but we do seem to see a very clear image of what looks like Rasputin. So, who knows? Maybe that's a hint. Maybe he's going to be the next fighter, and we're going to get Anubis, like, following up after the Lord of the Dead. But I don't know. I just don't know. I'm excited, though. But then speaking of this man, the ruler where it all began, we see a wall just burst open, and then we get a further glimpse, and multiple walls are just, boom, blown apart. And we don't actually know, like, how he's doing this. He's kind of just chilling, walking through walls. Like, and the thing is, he's far and way back from the wall. Like, his legs may have been long enough to kick it, but it seems like the walls are just exploding before his very presence. This man is too strong. But we see that he's just going around looking for his waiting room. And I think Ragnarok has been going on for at least an hour at this point. Bro, you haven't found your waiting room yet? Like, we're 6 rounds deep, and you still haven't found it. Wait, one of these matches was 21 minutes long. How have you still not found the waiting room, bro? What the heck? Like, Brunhilde didn't escort you there? Someone didn't escort you there? Like, what's going on here? But then we get to see that the throne that this dude was talking about was the VIP section. And we see we see Ares cop squat on his little baby chair that just struggling to hold his thickness, if you will. And it seems like it's Hermes just loves mocking Hades. I keep saying Hades. Hermes just loves mocking Ares, and I don't blame him, because I also love mocking Ares. Why am I getting those two confused? I know they're family, but geez. But he just loves teasing Ares, and to be fair, I love bullying that man, because Ares is just trash. But regardless of that, we see that we get this glimpse of the arena, and interestingly enough, I can't actually really tell the scale of this arena, because that's the crowd, right? I'm not sure if this is an inner sanctum, and I'm not sure how big. Like, obviously, it's big enough because there are skulls, and the two entrances actually don't look that deep and stuff like that. But in actuality, I just straight can't tell everything about this by what it is. But one thing to note is that there is a lot of skeletons. So maybe Hades' power is literally reviving and getting the dead to do his bidding. I wonder. And I wonder if, like, our man, Qin Shi Huang, I'm not sure. Qin Shi Huang? Is that how you say it? I'm not sure. I'll look that up when I do the Hades versus Qin Shi Huang prediction video, and I'll figure that out. But I'm intrigued to see like what his ability may be to counter. If Hades' power is controlling the dead, will his kingly aura like make some of them obey him? I'm wondering. But then we get to see that, well, Ares is super confident that Hades will just curb stomp whoever they send out. Dude just walks on by, chilling, no problem. And he plops right on down. I was like, wow, this really is an amazing seat. And Ares is like nervously asking Hermes, you think that guy knows that's a Hades seat and that Hades will eat his meat if he doesn't get out of that seat? And Hermes was like, it's 2021, so I can't judge you, but pause. And yeah, maybe he's just lost. So Ares goes to be a good dude, shockingly enough. And he like goes to grab this emperor, and instantly Ares just gets flipped. And I'm not sure how he does either. Like, it seems like Qin Shi Huang stabs him in the side, and then he falls and busts his nose open. But it's such a quick panel, or not necessarily a quick panel. It's such a, like, there's so many speed lines in the panel. I'm not exactly sure what happens here. And it seems like this person is like powerful enough that even Hermes, after seeing Ares just get mollywopped. So Ares is someone who he's been making fun of for a majority of the series, by the way. But still, Ares getting mollywopped so easily isn't like a normal thing a regular human could do. So he's actually pretty intrigued. And we get to see that with two twin claws, this emperor points and says, humble yourselves. And I love, see that, like, king characters in anime and manga just hit different, or in fiction in general, like ones that have this like just air of a ruler about them. Like they just feel like they're more important than everyone in the room, and they really are because of the ruler, obviously, but they just carry this presence with them. And like this quote just solidifies it. It matters not what this place is. You're in the presence of an emperor. The throne is where I am. I love that. Qin Shi Huang, China. So he's the original emperor. And I honestly really, really, really like his design. Mainly because it gives off, like, is it weird to say it gives off this weird, almost, like, it's going to sound strange, but almost like, I know this is probably Chinese inspired purely. I just don't know. I don't know much about China, I'll admit. But it almost gives me like Magi vibes in terms of the outfit. I know Magi was based more in Middle Eastern. I think it just comes from the shoulders being bared, the blindfold, his whole design, the centipede coming up his face. He just seems like a very cool and well-designed character. And it also seems like he has a mismatched number of claws. Like on his right hand, he has on his right hand, he has the 2 claws. And on the left hand, he has 3 and possibly 4 or 5. So I'm actually legitimately intrigued to see what this man's like, especially next chapter when we get a little bit more of him. Because to be fair, we only got a whiff of him this chapter. But even that little whiff, that little taste, that little morsel of what this man could be and likely is still super exciting. Mainly because of how he contrasts Hades already. Notably, Hades is still blind. No, I'm an idiot. Huang is still blind. He has his blindfold on. He's not necessarily looking at anything. He just has this presence to him. He's still calm, composed, and collected, and still sticking to his emperor role. Meanwhile, Hades crushed the eyepiece and straight up admit this is like bloodlusted revenge against the humans. They're gonna pay for doing what they did to my baby brother. Like, this leads just in a whole new interesting dynamic, and I'm actually really excited to see it. Mainly because, like, out of all the characters we've seen so far, they've had dynamics. Like, we had the mightiest versus the mightiest. We had the fathers of humanity and the fathers of the gods. We had the greatest loser versus the greatest winner. We had the greatest evil versus the greatest good. We had I don't know what was right. What was right in the Shiva? The might is right. I don't really know. But then we had like Buddha versus Arjuna, which was enlightenment versus, I don't know, maybe like easy work. Like, we had a whole ton of thematic ideologies here, and I'm interested. It's just going to be interesting to see one we've never even gotten remotely close to before, which is 2 kings stacking up to each other. Like, Zeus was a king, but Adam wasn't. He was just an originator. Meanwhile, Huang is like just fully on the idea that, no, I am a king, I am the emperor, and you shall bow. And I love that. I don't know, I personally just really enjoy that in characters. I can't necessarily tell you why, but every time a character just flexes like this, I'm like, ooh, spicy chef's kiss. Now, the thing is, I'm intrigued to guess who this fight could go to, because I feel like in the short term, humanity winning would be amazing. It would hype up the deities. They'd probably get them to bring out Buggy Boy no matter how much they don't like him, or get out Odin or one of the other leader gods, like some next level stuff. But if Huang loses, then we're just back to the status quo, honestly, and that's fine for the gods. But I want the series to just like keep rattling us like it did with Buddha versus Zero. So I really am just waiting and hoping that, you know, I just had flashbacks. I remember that something else is getting an anime. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't know why that thought popped into my head, but like this whole concept is really intriguing to me, and I really want to get more of it. Like seeing these characters realize like this is super interesting, and guessing who would likely win based off history. I think Hades would win, mainly because Greece has taken 2 L's so far in both Heracles and Poseidon. And if Zeus really was the only brother of the big 3 left, that would be kind of whack, I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, off the little introduction I got to Huang, I really, really like him too. So, I don't know. I'm going to talk about all this in my predictions video, though. But I think this chapter is honestly another 10 out of 10, mainly just for the intrigue it sets up. Like, there's so many questions this chapter asks, and I think they're all great, but that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.